Hey guys, Joe Kulas here once again. This is going to be I'm going to make this into 3 videos. So just FYI, anyone that's interested in both learning how to install a 1911 trigger, got a couple different triggers, and then a hammer, this video is going to go through both of those, and then as well, I'm going to be making a video, I'm going to separate it, cut it into both. So, because when you're doing this, you're going to have to disassemble quite a bit of the gun, and the hammer will be coming first, and then the trigger will be after that. But again, gonna make it into 2 different videos. But alright, let's get to it. So today then we're gonna be installing the Wilson trigger and then a custom hammer that I bought online. So first thing that I like to do is I take off the grips, and as well, I'm actually using a shot glass just for the easiness of a container use. Have some sort of container to put your spare parts in. You know, I just got that extra shot glass lying around, so I'm gonna be using that. So I took off the grips first already, saved me a little bit of time. You have 2 screws on each side, pretty simple to take off. Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit more trickier. I very much suggest some sort of, eye protection wear. There's going to be a lot of spring tension in a couple areas, so not a bad idea. And as well, a couple of these areas, guys, sorry the camera, I'm going to see if video-wise I can invert it, but if it's upside down to you guys, sorry about that ahead of time, but this is just too much hard work to, have the gun upside down for me, so sorry about that in the future here. Alright, so obviously, make sure the gun's unloaded, have the mag off to the side as well, but what you're going to do is this bushing in the front, you're going to depress this and counterclockwise turn it. You want to have it depressed. It's going to come up. And try to do it slowly. Alright, now with that off to the side and as well, just pull the spring out with it as well. Basically, you're going to rack the slide. It's going to be maybe a little different for some 1911s. Here's your slide hold, and then this is your takedown. You're going to bring it back to the takedown, and then when it's lined up with that, you should be able to, on the other side, just push it through. So, right with that hole. Now you're going to slide it forward, and then we're just going to set the slide off to the side. As well, one thing I want to mention now, as well for later, some people, you're going to have longer ones, you might have shorter ones than this even, probably not. I think there's just the 2 lengths. Anyways, you're gonna just try to get the camera angle the best. You notice the one side is kind of circularized for the barrel. That's actually gonna, the circularized start is gonna go with the barrel. The one that's going over, that's gonna be going towards the frame. So just set that off to the side as well. Alright, now we got that done. Now, you're going to need to maybe make a couple jigs here. I'm just going to be using a magazine. You're as well going to need some punches. I got a couple different size punches. If you don't have a wide variety of punches, you can, maybe use a screwdriver or something of that. Again, I bought punches a while back, so I'm set. But, maybe compromise. Find something that more or less you're going to be able to pound this pin out with. And as well, I cannot find my hammer for the life of me, so fortunately I'm going to be using my knife, which has taken daily abuse a lot. So again, this pin right here, there we go. Guide this out of there. Alright, now this is gonna come back out. I'm just gonna set this off to the side as well. We're not gonna have anything to do with it for a while. Now your main spring, I'm gonna get to this quite a bit later, is for the correct installation. Huge issue when I did this and I uninstalled it so I could redo this video. But I had a huge issue with this later, which I'm gonna get to. But you're gonna see it came up at a weird angle. So alright, now we are going to take the safety off. If you got an ambidextrous safety, you're going to have to take off the right side first, and depending on how it installs, you're just going to have to probably look at that a little bit more. The easiest way is to have the hammer cocked, and with the hammer cocked, you're going to see the indentation for the slide. Bring this up, and then with that slide, if you have a flathead, you can kind of get it in there, and you can just pry it off. Just wiggle it back and forth a little bit. Now initially it's probably not going to be that bad, but the spring, it might fly out a little bit. Just set it off to the side to make it easier on yourself. And then as well, the beaver tail is going to come out. So alright, now what we got here, there's Sear Spring came out. You might have to do a little bit of wiggling for that to come out. Now we got here is the hammer, which alright, I'm gonna take this pin out from the right side. Sorry if I'm getting off camera a little bit at times here, guys. Sorry about that. Most of the stuff, again, easiest for the punch pin. You can usually get it started without having a jig, and then just bring it up a little bit. If you actually have like a gunsmith's jig, that's gonna work great. If not, that's fine as well. So, alright, now with the hammer, this is where you're gonna need the small ass punch pins if you have them. Now, basically, this is super simple. You literally have the tension of this. It's kind of, I guess on mine, it's an oversized one. It was a pain in the fucking ass to get this little detent out. So this detent's gonna come out, and then it's gonna go with this in the new hammer. Alright, now this is probably I'm actually probably gonna have to take it off to the side, but I'll see if I can just kind of jig it here. Oh geez, see if I can put it on the trigger. Yeah, this ain't probably gonna work too well. I actually did it off to the side the first time too, guys, so yeah, I'm gonna have to go off to the side here. I'm just gonna cut to the camera, but I have something off to the side that works really well. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this and then we'll keep on going. Alright, now as you guys can see, I actually got started there. After you get started, that's when it comes out just really easily. So, alright, now we're going to be swapping it out again, same way. And actually, I'm just going to start this first too. Yeah, you can see it just pretty much slides right in there right now. Yep, this one's just a little oversized. So, alright, and that's as simple as the trigger. Now, for installation, if you guys watched the other part, this is a trigger and hammer install. If you're doing just the trigger, installation is just as simple. You're going to slide this in here, match it up, put the pin back in, and then you're going to attach the safety the same way you took it off. And then so on and so on. Alright, but now we are going to take the disconnector pin out and then take the sear and disconnector out. Alright, got my pins in there. So that came out real nice and easy. Alright, now got those eyes off to the side. This is where it gets super tricky. Now, why in the hell was I such an idiot in the first place? The first time I did this screw right here, you have to take it out, and that will pretty much allow you to take out the trigger. Why you think you can just turn it and turn it left is beyond me. You actually have to push on the magazine release and hold it pushed. And some people, I've talked to a couple different people about this, some people just push out all the way and it turns left. Some people, you gotta just have it about, 3/4 of the way out, or maybe half. On mine, this is again the Rock Island Armory, it's all the way out. And you guys can kind of see how that detent works on there a little bit. It's really, really awkward. And that's the same way for installing here, which I'll get to a little later. Now, the trigger's going to come right out. Alright. This guy just simply slides. Alright, so got this trigger and put right back in here now. Just slide it right on in. Then, this is where we were going to put the magazine catch back in. And again, you're going to probably have to play with it just a little bit for how far it's going to need to be out. You're going to turn it, and now you're going to have it snap. Just test it. Alright. If you guys want to, you can function test it. You probably won't really need to. It doesn't hurt though. Alright, so we got that in. Let's do the disconnector. Now, oh geez, the Sear is not a fun part to put in. You guys are going to have... I'm going to keep this live streaming just so anyone that's interested, it's going to... Okay. But it's going to be a pain in the butt. It's going to be the same way it comes out, and as well, check it out before you even put it in. So, check out the way it goes in. More or less, though, the easiest way to think about it is, see there we go, the light's showing up good. You guys can see how the flat part goes against the trigger. There we go. And then the disconnector upper part goes on there just as so. There is a couple different ways to do this. Obviously I'm just doing one at a time to make it a little bit easier to show you guys. Throwing one on there at a time is what I meant to say. Now this is where it gets fun. I like to actually just use the punch pins to kind of maneuver it in place a little bit, and I'm probably gonna have to go off camera here, guys. Sorry, but pretty much you're gonna use a punch pin to go in one side through the detents, and you're gonna kind of have to maneuver it so gravity's gonna be making it fall, and you're gonna get it in one part of the punch pin. Well, actually, that worked out really easy this time. Yeah. You pretty much get it through the outer and then the inner. And yeah, that actually worked really easy this time. But usually, you kind of have to let gravity, just like with your thumb assisting in the rear, just kind of let gravity let it fall back a little bit and then snip this in through the side. Which, yeah, damn, that time it just worked out real nice. So, that's kind of cool. Now with the trigger, make sure it's functioning too. Try to get this on camera more. And so obviously it's functioning. So what we're going to do is just put the rest of it back together. Now we're going to take this pin the same way and slowly assist it through here. Slowly. So that way, everything catches and we're not going to have to re-mess with it. Make sure it's still working. Obviously you're manually going to have to go back and forth with the trigger, because there's no spring tension in there. So, alright, so we just function tested it, making sure it's working good. This is where we are going to put the hammer back in now. Again, it's pretty simple. Just gotta line this guy up, and then we're gonna take our pin and put it the same way it came in. Alright, pretty simple. Now again, these pins are a little loose, or they might be a little loose depending on your gun. So make sure you're being a little careful so this stuff doesn't slide out, so you're going to have to redo it all again. Now for your Sear Spring, this is where I was talking about I had a lot of problems before. Basically, when we put this in here, you're going to want to make sure... There we go. Nope. Alright, you can see how the far left one is lying on top of that Sear, and how, with this, me moving it back and forth, how it's still there. When you install it, you want that to happen. Reason being, your trigger isn't going to reset properly if that's not being done, and I had a ton of issues trying to figure out what the heck the problem was. So, again, a little pre-thing to everyone there. So just make sure that's working. Now, we're going to start by very slightly installing this. And again, make sure your springs are staying where they're supposed to. Let gravity work its way. Because what you're going to want happening here is this is going to catch kind of right in that detent right there. That's how your trigger works with that detent and spring. Alright, and now we're going to put the beaver tail in. Slides right in. And as well, you're going to want to make sure this stuff is centered with that. We're going to slide the safety detent in with the safety. Now, this is again where these push pins come in handy. Detent, push that detent in. Do some wiggling back and forth. Usually you can get lucky enough. Sometimes, if you have a rubber mallet or something that is rubber, give it a couple little hits. It's usually good. Alright. Now, this bottom part, there's going to be a lot of tension. The easiest way I find to install it is by using these push pins to kind of straighten it out. That's the smallest one. I want to use that guy. Use these to kind of straighten it out a little bit. You know, as well pressure. So, whoops. Make sure that stuff again is straight in there. Otherwise, you're going to have unnecessary pressure buildup. Alright. Get this out of there. Should stay, hopefully, for a little bit. Whoop. Make sure you're going to put these pins in the right way. Again, some sort of hammer is usually a better time, but alright, let's function test the hammer. You want to hear those, you know, those two things. You want to hear that. I don't know if you can try to get a little bit closer to the camera. You want to hear that, so just give it, you know, get a couple tries. Now, you want to make sure that just by pressing the trigger here, the hammer's not going. You want to make sure when you're holding the grip safety, that's the only time it is. I'm trying to get this best on camera. That's the only time it's going. Alright, so function test the safety as well. It's all functioning fine. Alright, that is the installation of both the hammer and the trigger. Again, for anyone that's just watching one of these vids, I'm going to do a vid for both of them at the same time for people that are upgrading both. Otherwise, definitely, you know, thanks for watching, and gonna do the rest of the installation here for anybody that needs it. Otherwise, thanks for subscribing. Alright, so I'm gonna go with the slide. Put it on this guy. Alright, again, this is usually a little bit of play. I'm gonna go off camera a little bit. Just usually gotta maneuver this a little bit. Alright. Now you gotta have those guys lined back up, and this is, whoops, just gonna go right in. And obviously, wait, well, did it catch? Nope, it did not catch. So you're gonna bring this guy right back out. Remember, make sure to line this up properly, as I talked about earlier. I find it easiest way to do it is it's upside down. That way, again, you have gravity working for you, which is always preferred. And it's not wanting to catch. Alright. Third time's the charm, right? There's other ways, well, slight other ways to do this. So, I don't know, this is kind of the way I always do it, so. Sometimes it's just easier, though, to manually, you know, line that barrel pin up with it as well. You know, again, sometimes... There we go. Again, usually, you know, I'm able to just flop it right in here, and it's not a big deal. But yeah, today it's just being a little bit of a pain, so I had to line up that barrel. And as well, as you'll see on the barrel, that's where you have the thing that comes down. So now it's not going to come forward. Normally, you can just flop it right on there, and it's fine. I'm going to guess since this is, you know, a new pistol, it needs a little more breaking in, so normally it'll fall right down, but sometimes you're going to have to, again, let gravity work for you, and, you know, have that guy fall down and then line up the holes. Now, we are going to put our guide spring back in. Again, you should be wearing glasses if you got them. It's always a good idea. They actually make a nice little, what do you want to call, a little sort of, I think it's actually the AR tool works as well for it, disassembly. This is where we're going to want to function test it here. Okay. Put the safety on, make sure safety's working. Make sure it's not going off without the rear being depressed. Okay, it's functioned properly. Now, just put the grips back on and we are good to go. But yeah, you know, it's definitely some cool extras that you can do, and this trigger is actually adjustable as well. It has, you know, the Wilson Combat triggers are pretty nice because they have the little adjustment screw in them for how, you know, how you want it to be. So, I think that's always definitely a cool little add-on. So, yeah, you know, it's fun stuff to do to your 1911, and I figured I'd put these videos out, you know, because I noticed there's really like no freaking info on this crap online. So, I figured more or less I'd be putting this info out there for you guys. I mean, 1911s are pretty common, or on the more common side, I guess, for pistols. You know, you can't go wrong with a cool 45, so. And as well, you know, just buying this new one and new stuff, I'm like, well, it's not like I'm going to have to do a whole lot of extraness to it, so. Now, after you have the grips installed, some people still want to make sure their slide release is working. Some grips are a little weird, and obviously it does. You know, some grips might need to do a little bit of fitting on them. So, yeah, they do come very, very close. Anyways, it works well, so no problems. And, you know, as well, always try to be safe with your guns. Make sure, you know, you're working in ideal environments. So, or as ideal as possible environments. And yeah, you can definitely see the new coolness to the whole thing. So once again, thanks for watching. Feel free to subscribe, and take care, guys. Have a good one.